Hey Covalence friends. So we're going to be making the most over-engineered grocery list app. And the reason why I say over-engineered is because I need these grocery lists to be shareable, which induces a lot more complexity than just a standard list. And I also want real-time communication on them using something like WebSockets. So the reason why I need that is so that, well, for the shareable aspect, my partner and I can both create updates whenever we need to the grocery list. And the reason why I want real-time communication is, well, if you're going grocery shopping with another person and you also like the divide and conquer approach, you probably want to be able to see in real time what remains on the list. So if the other person deletes an item or they add a new item, you probably want to see those updates as quick as possible versus like manually refreshing continuously. So that's the strategy we are going to employ with this. So that's why I said over-engineered. But first and foremost, we need to take a look at getting the database set up so I can create the foundation for this application. And here I'm using Beekeeper, which I had a video a little while back about why I use Beekeeper and why you should too, but it's just a nice little database application that supports multiple database engines, which is just really, really nice. So let's go ahead and get started. What am I, a Java developer? Look at these long variable names, this database name. Alright, first I need to get our user table set up. So, table users, and I'm going to be using UUIDs for this application. So my IDs I'll be assigning via my server. So my ID is going to be my primary key. The email. I'm going to have some email authentication on this. So we do want some good email standards for this. I'm also going to have a verification process. So we need an isVerified column or something like that. I also want to make sure that my email is marked as unique, so that way I can't have duplicate users. And you can use a Boolean data type for this, but with most database engines, that defaults to a tiny int or a related data type where it's going to be a 0 or 1. So usernames we're also going to make unique. I think I'm going to let my user accounts log in with both email and usernames, so whichever one you want to utilize, go right ahead. Alright, password. Let's see, that I might think of another column or two, but we'll go ahead and mull on that. Maybe a user's name. It's probably not a bad column to include. All right. So we've got a handful of many-to-many relationships we need to have. We need to create a list that needs to maintain the parent, author and have a unique ID. And then we need list items to maintain, well, the names of some items, but also what list they're associated on. And we also need to maintain a user lists table, maintaining what users are linked to what lists. So Can't really see anything going beyond 32 characters for this, but I don't have to be all that stingy. I'll make every list item name like 64 in case you want to have like a small little description for that element. See, every list will have its own unique ID. And then every list is going to maintain the user ID of who owns the list itself. So that's going to be foreign key to the users table. So foreign key user ID references users at ID. So we've got that. We've got the list set up. List items needs to be linked to a specific list, so we need a list ID here. Let's see, I actually want to move this up a line just because visually I prefer it that way. Alright, so we create a list and who owns it, and we link it to the users table. For every list that we have list items that have their own unique IDs. They have a string describing what the item is. Then we have a list ID associating with a specific list. And then we need to maintain a users lists table linking a user to a list. So we'll have a user ID column. And we will have a list ID column. And we'll need to go ahead and get both of these foreign keyed to that. So, and let's see, I have foreign keys for both of those already predefined, so I can just copy paste them from other tables. So that is the foreign key for the user table. And here's the foreign key for the list table. All right, let's go ahead and create those. So create table users. This is a really small table. I feel like I'm missing something, so I'll probably come back and do some migrations at a later point. But we'll go ahead and run this. Create users, create lists, create list items, and create user lists. All right, so we will have user accounts, we will have lists, we will have list items. That's going to be all of your individual little grocery items linked to a list. Your list is linked to the parent owner via its user ID column, and to see how elements are shared, we will additionally have in user lists a linkage between a user ID and a list ID. So that will maintain any list that you are associated with. Let's see. Actually, I forgot to primary key this. And the primary key for this table is not going to be one or the other. It's instead going to be a composite primary key of both the user ID and the list ID. So it's the unique combination of a user and a specific list. And so that means that I just can't put the same user for the same list in here twice. All right, but that's it for getting our foundational aspect up. So after this, we'll go ahead and start setting up our backend, where I need to create some types for this, create some database queries, and then we can get rolling. So I hope you've enjoyed this thus far, and we'll get into some way more interesting stuff in the next video in the series where we can jump into some actual code content. So, I'll see you then.